good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night. Wherever it is you're listening into us, we welcome you to the Growth Edge, which is a conversation about businesses and how to keep building and growing. So this is powered by the African MSME Collective, and we enable MSMEs to set up, stabilize, and scale sustainably successful businesses. We do this through a couple of interventions, in-person and virtual training, conversations, we do publications, we engage in problem-solving platforms, we provide mentorship, networking, and coaching. Sounds like a lot, sounds like a mouthful, but we never believe in doing anything alone. The MSME space is vast because 95% of all employment is created in the MSME space. So if you look at your home country and you need to create 1 million jobs every year, 95%, which means 950,000 of those jobs will need to be created on the MSME space. When you think about MSMEs like that, it's a powerful space, but highly under-resourced, because many of the things that we are encouraged to do may or may not help us. So what we do here at AMC, and specifically through the Growth Edge, is provide actionable insights that you can begin to deploy today for a greater success tomorrow. And I hope that you've been following on with us. We've been discussing what we call the 5 cornerstones of business. What are the 5 things you need to have in place as a business that will help you grow? And in this segment, my name is Chesubire Talitola Greg, and I'll be facilitating an engaging conversation around the second of the 5 cornerstones. Now, let me give you the 5 cornerstones, and then we'll do what we're supposed to do today. So when you look at your business, there are 5 things you need to be doing as a business leader. 1, you need to plan, okay? 2, you need to organize. 3, you need to have control. 4, consistent evaluation. And 5, you must lead. Business does not happen without those 5 things. But don't worry, it's not a headache. It's in the things you do. You just don't see how they flow together. So in our previous episode, which is the second episode of the Growth Edge, called Redefining Success for the MSME, we talked about planning. Planning from the perspective of when you start a business as a business owner, there is a vision that drives everything you do that you build your plan on. More details of that, just go back to the YouTube channel, African MSME Collective, and you will find that that is episode 2. So today in episode 3, what we're doing is we'll be having an engaging conversation around organizing. And as always, my co-founder will be leading the conversation, not because I can't, let me just put that out there, but because we see opportunities in how we present things, and because he is really solid in business development and sales. But let me allow him to introduce himself. My panelist, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Chesubire, for the warm welcome. Thank you for having me on this platform today. I am Joe Mukoko, co-founder, African MSME Collective. I love helping SME owners to get solutions to the challenges that they face or they are having in their business development pipeline. By being able to get solutions, we help them become profitable and sustainable. Having been in this space for quite some time, it pains my heart at times when a business that has potential peaks and then just drops off. And you will realize that maybe the things that they needed to change were very few or very minor tweaks that would have enabled them to keep on running. So we are passionate to help change the African narrative, to help change the African story, and to participate in the social and the economic transformation of Africa, even as we prepare to hand over the baton to the younger generation. Thank you. Back to you, Chesubire.
Thank you, Joe. And there's something that really gives me the perfect segue to our conversation. You're talking about handing the baton to the next generation, right? We cannot hand a baton if we don't have an organized structure, organized direction we're going. So in reference to business, what is organizing? It sounds like, for me, I came from 17 years in the events world. So organizing sounds like putting a wedding together, planning a corporate dinner, doing a gala. So in reference to businesses, what is organizing? How should we perceive organizing?
On a light note, organizing in business is still like a marriage event. It's just that the wedding happens every day, you know? The activities happen every day. Allow me to take you back, then we can pick it. In our last video, when we talked about planning, we summarized, I may not summarize in the exact words, but let me summarize how we concluded the conversation. Your plan must be simple enough. Your plan must include targets because you must have an outcomes as a business. What are you looking to achieve? Okay. Then those outcomes that you want to achieve, what available resources do you have that can help you achieve those outcomes? Then have a program of events and tasks. Have a program of events and tasks. Then have a risk management plan. If I would put it in simpler terms, have a solution for emergencies. We know no day in business is the same. At times emergencies happen. So have a solution for emergencies. And then lastly, have a training element for you and your employees, or you and your stakeholders. You see, it fits into that because we pick number 4, program of events. And that is where the organization comes in. If I would put it in simple and complicated English, it is a way of making arrangements for activities to happen in a systematic manner. Why does it have to be systematic? It has to flow. And the reason it has to flow is, as a business owner, you have an outcome that you desire. Yes. How will you get closer to that outcome? The outcome involves you producing either goods or services and exchanging that value for money with your clients. Yes. So if your clients are not happy, they will not give you the money that you desire, or they will not exchange value for whatever it is that you're putting out there. So a simple way to make sure that your plan can flow. And why is it flowing? Remember, you have activities.
Let me ask a question right there. So what we're doing when we're organizing is we're creating flow and order.
Yes. Flow and order. Because you remember from your plan, you said, I want to get to Turkana. How do you get to Turkana? Or even, okay, Turkana, I'm seeing like you're trying to figure out the stops. Let's do a simple one. You want to get to Namanga. You must have a plan to get to Namanga, right? But what are you going to do in Namanga? There has to be an outcome that you desire. And you see, the outcome that you desire might be time-based, might be event-based. But in all those things, there has to be a flow. That, for example, I am going to Namanga because I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. What time are those things supposed to happen? Now you work backwards and look at what time do you need to leave where you are? What do you need to get there? When will you leave? And what do you need to carry? Who will you go with? And there are very many ways of getting to Namanga. You can use a boda boda, you can walk, you can use a bus, you can use private means, you can use a helicopter or a plane. Now, all those things depend on your resources. What resources do you have to get the outcome that you desire. That means you have to plan for them. There has to be a way that they can go.
That brings to mind something when you said you can go different ways, because it then means that you can have the same activities, but with two different clients, the flow is slightly different. And it makes me think about a while back we were going for a course in Cape Town, and going down, there was a little Embraer, little tiny plane that had two stops. So one stop, so we flew Nairobi to Victoria Falls, and then Victoria Falls to Cape Town. But coming back, it was a direct flight. It was a bigger plane because it was coming from en route from somewhere. And then so the outcome is the same. Nairobi, Cape Town, Nairobi, but depending on the time and the number of people traveling, then it depends on what you get. So what they've done, they've clarified that we will go both ways, but down is easier to make a stop in Zimbabwe and then get on, because then you have some people who need to get to Vic Falls, and that's the way they go. So it could be that the flow could be identical or it could be different depending on who you're dealing with. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes. And why would I say so? One, let's take an example of a business that only has one product or one service. The program of events to deliver that service might be the same. But if you tweak it just a bit, it still has to get to the end. When you are going to Cape Town, what did you need to get to Cape Town? So what does the airline have to do to get you to Cape Town? So they had two ways to get you to Cape Town. Either go direct or stop, but eventually their outcome was Chisubire needs to get to Cape Town. Then you could have different products for different segments of your customers. The program of activities to get to that outcome might be different. But outcome is the client still need the product. Okay. So if I am coming to you and say, I want to get the red book from you, you might find the process of doing the red book that you've published could be different from the process of doing the blue book. Okay. A red book customer, I really don't care about the blue book, but what I want is the red book. Can I get my red book? So because you've already gone out there and said, I sell red books, blue books, black books, gray books, white books, orange books, the client is not interested in your production activities. They're interested in the outcome. So then what you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, is that flow is about ensuring customer satisfaction. Order is about customer satisfaction. And that has to be our driving force. Order is about customer satisfaction. Remember, before a customer purchases from you, there'll be between 5 to 12 touches. Okay. Now, sometimes the touches might be minimum, but the more the customer spends time with your product, the customer is able to distinguish, oh, there's this, there's that, there's that. Some of these things could be affected in terms of production. Maybe that's the day, let's say you're packaging the people who are packaging did not put the package through the sealing machine properly.
Mm.
So that means somewhere along the way, something fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because it is about the customer and because it is about the customer journey, how do we make it easier for them and for us? How do we make it easier for us to produce so that they can purchase and we can get the value that we desire?
Is this what people commonly call systems thinking?
You could call it systems thinking, but to make it simpler, I like leaving it at organizing, because now someone will tell you, I am running a corner shop. Where do systems come in? You know, when you complicate things for SMEs, now they get a mental block and they're like, that is not for me, that is for big corporates.
So big people. Okay. So to keep it simple, what are the 4 things we need to think about when we're thinking about order? 4 key things.
4 key things.
Mm.
Number 1 is you have to set outcomes.
Mm.
Set your outcomes. Then outline the activities that you need to carry out.
Mm.
Thirdly, look at the resources that you have that you need to carry out these activities. Then last, your team, the people or the team that you need to make sure that the outcomes you desire are achieved. See, when you set the outcomes, it gives you a clearer view of, okay, I want to produce 100 bags of, let's say, processed coffee. How do I get there? This is what I want. 100 bags of processed coffee. Then now you come down and look at the activities. For us to get the 100 bags of processed coffee, what are the things we need to do? When you outline these activities and how they will flow for you to get to the 100 bags, you are able to know these are the resources that I need. I need bags, I need machines, I need water, I need storage, I need security, I need suppliers. So you put down all the resources that you need. You need people. Possibly you need, not possibly, you need Bureau of Standards certification to make sure that what you're giving out is not harmful. Then possibly you need an ESG certificate to show that the coffee you have and your processing was done in a way that is environmentally responsible. Okay.
And of
then
course, you need the beans and the farmer who makes the bean.
Exactly. Exactly. And then now when you're doing all those things, then you're looking at it, I need people to help me do that. If you're bringing people on board, then safe and decent practices come in place. Why? I was so shocked the other day when I went to one of the business forums, and they say that any business that will not be adhering to SDGs by 2030, governments have agreed they need to be penalized. I'm still going to do.
Let's not assume that everybody understands. What are SDGs?
SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you for that reminder.
And how many are they?
17. 16 plus 1, 17. We shall talk about them in another meeting. It's a
Yes,
whole topic, but we need to bring it up for SMEs to understand. But that is the direction the world is going. So when you put all these things together and you've brought on board now your people and your team, you're able to break down the duties and responsibilities. Remember, we've listed down the activities. Who will be doing what? Who will they be answerable to? When will they be doing this? And what outcome do we desire to see from them? Does it fit into our overall goal of getting to our one desired outcome, which is a consumer to purchase whatever product we are having in place? This example, there are 100 bags of coffee. Can we get someone to buy at least a bag of coffee?
So this takes me back to the very original conversation we had, where we talked about the two things you need to start a business is an idea and a customer. So if organizing is customer driven, then it means that we must have already predetermined what our customers' preferences are, because then we're organizing to produce that. And as you were talking, three things came to mind. The same thing applies to whether it's a corner shop, a consultancy, or a hospital. Because let's do the corner shop, or here you can be a mama mboga or a kiosk. I think in South Africa, they call them the spaza shops, right? So you're there in the community at the corner of a junction or on a certain street. So you have to understand what the people want. And I'm thinking about here, we do have one that opened in Q3 last year. It is the closest supermarket to us. And when they opened, they had all those little things we needed. High-end brands of peanuts. They had, fabric softeners, all the things we wanted. But as the year has gone in, as we now crossed into 2024, their stock levels have changed. So it's the closest to me. It's like, well, maybe just under 10 minutes walk, maybe about 7 minutes walk from the house. But I now walk about almost 15 to another one that is always consistently stocked. So then when you go through this, the outcome for each of those shops is the same. They want to be able to sell to the people in the community. But when I look at the activities, stock levels are changing, varieties changing. So then as a customer, and this really has been revelational as I've sat here, the customer will always go to the person who meets their need, the end. The end. So then if we are not focusing on these things, another thing that really disappointed me about this shop that's closer is the fact that I went there one day over the holidays, and the workers were whining loudly so we could hear as we were shopping. We're closing so late. These people are so, and I'm like, so then now I know the staffing situation is suspect. So then that explains why stocking is not as it should be. So when we look at these things as business owners, one, we must understand that our customers will go to where what they want is. Two, if we do not have the right team in place, it could cost us customers. And if our outcomes are not customer driven, which means you are looking to provide what Chesubide needs, you may still have 15 more customers, but you're likely to lose Chesubide. Does that sound about it?
Yes. You have put it quite clearly and in a simple way.
So then that means as business owners, we must push past our individual egos, because we are not about us, right?
No, it's not about you. It's about the customer. Because if I set out to make a vehicle, for example, that can run on solar, electricity, and petroleum at the same time, and I didn't do my research quite well in terms of who will be the person to offtake this product, your heart gets crushed.
Mm.
It's a good product. You can survive in any way possible, you know? You can use petroleum when you need to use petroleum. When you don't need to use petroleum, the sun is out like today, you can use the sun to power your vehicle. When the sun is not there, you go plug it in into an electrical place, you charge the vehicle, you're able to go.
Yes.
Are we getting it right where the customer is concerned? What do they need from us?
Mm.
If we don't get that right, then everything else we are trying to do, including our activities, will not make sense. They end up becoming a cost. Why? We'll produce items that need to move. And remember, you only make a sale when you exchange value for the product or service. You have just reminded us, a customer will go where their needs are met. If we do not meet their needs, they leave me there with my good innovation. I will talk about innovation. Every day I'll wake up and talk about my innovation. But if I have not quite understood how my customer will benefit and how they will use, and I have not shown them how they can use it to sort out the environmental concerns with an emergency backup, then it becomes useless.
So then organizing is about now putting in the right elements to ensure that we meet what we have identified as the customer need. When we identified the customer, we knew this is what they wanted. And then we aligned our vision into a plan that would get us to our goal. But we must get to that goal by meeting customer needs. So now we come and organize around their needs. So if the customer says, I went to a coffee house that has two blends of coffee. One is a Romeo blend, which is strong and very sharp and bitter. Then there's a Juliet blend. And Juliet is floral, it's sweet, it has some chocolatey undertones. And what they said is that they had found that the coffee drinkers are of two clusters. The ones who want to enjoy the sweet aromatic, then the ones who want the hits. And so they developed two blends and did that. I found that really cool because I like tasty coffee, and I'm not an espresso girl, no, but I like my nice Americano, well brewed and stuff like that. And they've come back to mind because every time I opened that packet or the packet when I bought it and then the tin, there's this really cool smell that has me, oh, I need my cup of coffee, I need my cup of coffee. And I think that's the kind of feeling we want our customers to get when they think about us, regardless of your business, whether you're a hospital. And I think hospitals are notorious for just doing what they want to do. I mean, hospitals, you find that the check-in process is 8 hours long, the checkout process is 8 hours long. In between care, depending on where you're at, is not good. Recently, somebody asked me, we had a patient in hospital, and somebody asked me, so who has gone to stay with them? And this person comes from the village where the local hostels where they go. You have to have a family member in hospital with the patient. So now, like, two lives stop, the life of the person who's unwell and somebody else. And I was trying to explain to them, and they didn't quite understand. But I said, here in the city, and the hostels we go to, you leave your patient. And the question she asked me was, who feeds them? Who cooks for them? I'm like, the hospital. She's like, wow, where? I'm like, so what hospitals are you guys going to? And then I crossed the border into Uganda, and I found the scenario is the same. So I'm the one who has a different understanding from a lot of people simply because of the capacity to access a certain level of healthcare. So as a customer of a hospital, if you don't take care of my patient, me, I'm the ones who just asked the manager, I have no time for bad services. But then in these two conversations I had about healthcare, there is a demographic who are used to a different kind of service. And for them, the joy is to make time to be around the sick person. Yeah, I'm like, yo, I have business to do, because the expectation is different. And so that for me takes me back to organizing, because then the two different hospitals will plan their activities, their processes, their systems, their payment plans based on the expectation of the client who's coming in. So what would be two things you would encourage business owners to do to ensure their flow is right or their organizing is well done?
Let me take my cup of coffee now that you said strong kick. I love a strong kick in coffee.
I'm over there. I want just a romantic face.
So I don't know if mine you would call it Romeo or Juliet. It can't be a Juliet because you said Romeo gives the kick. So yes, I've gotten the kick from the coffee. One, you need to understand your customer and always strive to understand your customer. Customer needs change over time. Their preferences change over time. There is a soap. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to name it. They did not pay me to advertise their product, so I won't. Over the years, they've kept on iterating their product, iterating their product. Leaves your hands smoother. It has these things that help remove allergies from the body, from the skin. Why do you think they do that? The base of the product remains the same. Customer needs change. Sometimes we are stuck in our own thinking and in our own ways and saying, they've always been my customers, they'll come back. What if they don't come back? What happens? For example, the shop that is outside your place. What if you stop going? What will they say? Our customers have disappeared. I wanted to say lost, then I remembered, no, they can't be lost. They just fall off a bit and then they come back. So you start wondering why your sales are not happening. Yeah. Does your customer know that you care for them? But the only way to know that your customer knows that you care for them is to put yourself in their shoes and produce products or services that fit with them. We are not in business to produce things which we eat on our own. No, we produce for others to eat and they give us a value therein, number one. Number two, it's important for you to think how to make it simpler in terms of your production process. How will your activities flow? Make it simpler for you. That is simple enough, you can run, you can understand, and it is clear. Then remember, you're bringing people on board. If you give them a complex diagram of how things will flow and they don't understand, it's a problem. Goes back, have a training element for your simple and clear way of doing things. That would be my takeaway to the entrepreneurs.
So understand your customer.
Keep it simple and clear.
Production. I think that's a good place to end, because when it sends us back to research and assessment and figuring out whether we have the right information, the right knowledge, right product. It also sends us to a place of iteration. So you help your customer by helping your internal process, and you help your internal process, and sorting your internal processes helps your team. And at the end of the day, when you marry these two, then your income level is what you want it to be. So I like that as a place to stop, because it leaves us thinking about a couple of things. Do we really understand our customers? And do we provide for them what they need? And are our teams aptly and ably equipped to deliver on our promise? Remember, when we set up our businesses, we made a promise to our customers, and we generate our income by delivering on our promise. So I think I hope that as business owners, we can stick to those things and understand you plan based on your vision and you organize based on your customer needs. So this is also the place where we talk about customer journey, because how do they move from the beginning to the end of using your product? Now, the next time we'll be talking about control, because control is not about you manically and what's the word, micromanaging people, but it's how you ensure that you deliver on your promise replicably. So that's what we'll be talking about next time. But as we sign off, I need you to think about, do you understand your customer? Are they so well known to you that they're like an intimate friend, so that you can meet their needs? And then, is your production process simple enough for your teams to work through? Now, don't tell me you run a shop so you don't have a production process. Don't tell me you run a consultancy so you don't have a production process. Production is not just about goods, it's about how you deliver. So if you're in the service sector, there is a process by how your customer finds you, tries what you do, purchases, can complain and review and come back. So when we say simplify your production process, it is both ways, whether you're in the goods or the services world. And on that note of challenging us to think through whether we understand our customers and understand our processes, we sign off and we say, it is such a pleasure to be able to facilitate. If you've got any questions you want us to answer, please feel free to send them to us, put them in the comment section. If you want us to cover a specific topic, let us know what you want covered, but we have a lot on the table. And if you want to be part of the conversation, also let us know in the comment section what you'd like us to discuss with you, and we'll reach out to you for the same. This has been the Growth Edge, powered by the African MSME Collective. I'm your host, Jasubire Talitwala Greg, signing off and saying, we'll see you next time, but you have to do your homework and figure out whether you know your customer like an intimate friend, and whether your production process to how you deliver their needs is seamless. We'll see you next time. Have a fantastic night, morning, day, whatever time of the day it is, just have a fantastic time. And that's it from us at the African MSME Collective.
Thank you.